Sports and Songs podcast. We're on season 4, episode number 15. Tonight is the Songs edition. It is February 23rd, 2023. This is our last Thursday night episode of the month of February. How are you doing, Andy?
I'm good. I'm a little sore from the shoveling here in Minnesota these last couple of days, but we'll live.
Well, if anyone got snowed in and couldn't get out to do things, this is a good album. We've got an album review tonight to discuss.
Yep.
Was new for me, but it's local. We're covering Prince. We're covering Prince, Andy, and we're kind of a heavy metal, hard rock,
right,
thrash metal show. And here we are doing a little local Paisley Park Prince on tonight's episode.
But Prince, he was one of those guys. Everybody liked Prince, his music. I mean, he was all genres. I think
when the music videos first came out, I was a fan of his rock stuff.
Yeah,
but he does a lot of funk. He does a lot of things. He's very experimental with a lot of stuff. So tonight's album is the Black Album we're going to be covering. And let me bring it up. The Black Album. Now, for the newer listeners out there, it was not titled the Black Album.
Not at first, no.
There was no title.
Thank you, Warner Brothers.
No title. But this album that we're going to cover tonight is the 16th studio album by American recording artist Prince, released with the remastered audio and re-released in 1994. But original release, let's focus on the original release for now. December 8th, 1987, Prince released this album. Recorded Paisley Park Studios, Chanhassen, Minnesota. The album was entirely black, even with the black sleeve, no title or even a credit to Prince. Let me repeat that. Not a credit to Prince. Hence, it was referred to as the Black Album, but it was dubbed the Funk Bible by preceding press releases. So they were getting ready. They had it recorded. They were promoting it. They were getting the album out there, calling it the Funk Bible. It wasn't live yet, but they were shipping it off to record stores and radio stations and getting it out there to get reviews on it. They called it the Funk Bible. No one even knew what the title was going to be. Well, there was no title. So we're calling it the Black Album. So 1987 comes. The promo-only release had no credits, production credits, photography, nothing, no photos. A simple black sleeve. And it just said, the song listings and catalog number 25677 were printed on the disc itself. So here's the songs on the album. And then we'll get to what all happened next. But song 1 was Le Grind. Song 2, Cindy C, allegedly relating to Cindy Crawford. Song 3, Dead on It. Song 4, When Two Are in Love. Next song is Bob George. There's a story behind that one. The next song is all one word, Super Funky Califragisexy. Next song is Two Nigs United for West Compton. One of your favorite songs, right, Andy?
One of them, yes. One of my 8 favorite on that album.
Rock Hard in a Funky Place. So, they had the songs, 8 songs, lots of variety here. Prince, of course, lead vocals, various instruments. Sheila E., percussion and drums. Eric Leeds plays 3 tracks on saxophone. Atlanta Bliss plays the trumpet on 3 tracks. Cat Glover, Bonnie Boyer, Susanna Melvoin, and Susan Rogers all relate to this album. So what happens is this, Andy. Now you may have some additional information, as I certainly didn't. Remember, I don't own a Prince album at all.
What?
I don't own any Prince albums. My wife's a big Prince fan. I don't see myself, getting in the car saying I'm going to listen to some Prince today. I don't typically do that. I like his stuff. I respect him as a musician, but I never was overall really a big fan of his of his work.
I know what I'm getting you for your birthday now.
The hate mail could come in, but that's just the way it is. So they did the promo, they sent it out, and then it was released. Now, the album was abandoned shortly before its intended release after Prince experiments. He experienced a spiritual epiphany and became convinced that this CD was evil. He later blamed the album on an entity named Spooky Electric. Spooky Electric was described as a demonic, low-voiced alter ego induced by Camille. Camille comes into play on some other things by Prince, but the decision may have been influenced by Prince's having a bad experience on MDMA. MDMA, what is that, Andy?
Not a clue.
I don't know, but if he was high on something, experimenting something, and this happened, like some kind of a hallucinogen, maybe that was it. But what Prince did was this: he recalled all copies and abandoned the entire project, leaving roughly 100 European promotional copies in circulation. So he says, you know what, I'm done. I want everything recalled. Well, 100 copies in Europe were already in circulation. Once they got word that this was repulled and taken off the shelves, the value went way up. Also, several American copies that would widely be bootlegged in the coming years. Now, immediately after the decision to pull the Black Album from stores, the album emerged on the streets in bootleg form, arguably becoming popular music's most legendary bootleg since the Beach Boys' album Smile that was recorded in 1967. So now, Andy, I got a question.
Okay.
Is this something, Prince has always been known to do weird, strange things, but he's also very intelligent. Sometimes does things on purpose to get the result that he's looking for. Was this done on purpose to create a jackpot, or was he really going through some tough times? Was he struggling with this album? He really didn't like it.
From what I've known of Prince or read of Prince, I would believe either side of that story. I know he was spiritual at the end. Some of their songs are pretty spiritual. Not exactly something you'd hear on your local Christian rock station, but spiritual nonetheless. Was he on a drug when he took this? And maybe. I think part of it was publicity stunt at the end, though. We'll never know, obviously. But I could see him doing that just to get back at the record company. If you look back at your Google machine, Prince versus Warner Brother Records, look it all up. I could see him doing that, but then kind of playing the whole other side of the card without flipping to a whole other story. Kind of like the whole OJ thing. I did it, but I don't remember. So did Prince release this and then say, "Oh, I didn't mean to," just to get back at Warner Brothers? Possibly.
Yeah, I think you and I both know the time it takes to not personally, but the time it takes to record and get an album down and go to the sessions and get the studio time and send out the promotional stuff. This is many, many months. All this takes to get something like this, a project done, and then to say, "Oh, he had a bad hallucinogenic experience and pulled the whole plug on everything." Well, when was it? Just a one-day hallucinogen that he decided all this? What are the other people?
It's not free to do that. Prince had a lot of money, so the money part for doing it wasn't an issue. So that's why I think he did it, just to snub Warner Brothers.
Could have been. Now, the reactions, when the 87 promotional release came out, celebrities such as U2's The Edge and Bono cited that this was one of their favorite albums of 1988. New York Times, John Perles remarked that both the Black Album and Lovesexy, before that, show a musician experimenting like mad with every musical parameter and so prolific that he had to cut back his output so he wouldn't be competing with himself. He observed that the Black Album answers the Beatles' eclectic White Album with Prince's own tour of black music styles, from a skeletal synthesized blues to a rap to an extended stops at James Brown, Sly and the Family Stone, Parliament, Funkadelic. It also has black humor and nasty fantasies. I mean, he covers so much ground that I
Right.
think that summary was, it covers everything. He got to the point where he was competing with himself by putting too much out there.
Right.
So, Warner Brothers, they had an issue because they had at one time ran an ad at the back of a November 1994 issue of Billboard that offered owners of the counterfeit copies, you can have a free copy of the legal release provided that you mail back the bootleg to the record label in exchange. So they did this to the first 1,000 individuals who had copies sent by saying, we want to get those bootlegs off the streets.
Because they want to make the money.
They want to make the money. And so once again, maybe that was why Prince, if he did this on purpose, was to, this was very interesting. Now, Prince invoked Camille, the alter ego behind his unreleased 86 album Camille, as a guiding force responsible for the Black Album. Now, do you know any more on Camille, Andy? Are you familiar with that?
I'm doing some notes on this too. I saw that name come up, and I don't recall any other stories of Camille.
It's an alter ego, and some big Prince fans out there. If you're familiar with this, leave it a comment or a question for us. Some information on the comment section. I'm not sure what that is, but he's been. This was how many? 16th studio album. So, like you say, money wasn't an issue. The guy was already famous, but he does hip hop on this album. There's a parody. Dead on It is a parody, and there's some good stuff on here. And the album before was 1994 was when they re-released it was 94. So Come was 1994, the Black Album was 94, and then the Versace Experience, Prelude to Gold, was 1995. And this album's 44 minutes, 43 seconds long, released on Warner Brothers. They had an original pressing, so they have an original number for that pressing with the record company, and then they repressed it and did it again, and they had issued a second number for that from the record label. The genre is funk. The genre is funk, and so that's fair enough. I can agree with that.
From listening to the album today, I'd say that if you could put 3 different labels on that album because of different songs, but if you had to give it just one, funk is a good one for
it. And so those original ones are going for big bucks, and they re-release it to get it out there. But that was not until 1994. So that's several years later when this all goes down. So I think that's a very interesting scenario how all this went down. And once again, being Prince, I can only imagine what was intended or what was not, or what really was the real story behind all this.
Yeah.
I still think that with all the people performing on the album, and I'm not sure how they go about getting paid as far as the royalties and whatnot, but once he pulled it, things got to be very goofy. And then years later, you release it officially. But
all the artists you mentioned that were on this album had worked with Prince a lot through the 80s and 90s anyway, mostly exclusively with Prince. So they could have been, for lack of better words, on the payroll. I don't know if you get royalties or said, hey, here's your check for the album. I don't know how Prince worked. But these were people who'd worked with him a lot already, so no one really got job. Like my one time with Prince and he screwed me. No, that didn't happen. They all worked with him a lot. So
yeah. So back to that song, Bob George.
Yes.
One of the most atypical Prince songs is called Bob George, where he assumes the identity of a profane man who suspects his girlfriend to have had an affair with a man named Bob. He asks her, what does a man do for a living? And he learns that Bob manages Prince, whom he dismisses. And then the gun-wielding alter ego then fires a multitude of gunshots and ends up being raided by the police. During live performances during the song during the Lovesexy tour, he ends up being shot. The name for the track was a combination of Bob Cavallo, former manager, and Nelson George, who was felt to have become very critical of Prince, so they called it Bob George. Any comments on that, Andy?
Kind of a little outside his wheelhouse, if you ask me. But again, that's our friend Prince doing that. A little theatrics on the stage.
So that's what I've got. Yep, that's what I've got for Prince, the Black Album. It was not, officially called the Black Album, but the Funk Bible was what they were calling it in pre-production here before it came out. The Funk Bible.
Very interesting stuff.
That's what I've got. It's interesting stuff. If you know more, anyone knows more about that, has any insights on this, please leave your comments below.
Especially Camille, that intrigues me a lot.
Camille, it came up several times in this whole story. Remember now, that's an alter ego that Prince used. Now, was this going on the same time when Prince didn't use his name and went with the symbol around the same time frame as
I think
this?
that's around the time, if my history serves me correctly, the 80 through 90 there, that era, he was kind of go by the symbol or artist formerly known as Prince, stuff like that. So when he was fighting with Warner Brothers.
And that was that was a fight with the Warner Brothers again with contractual obligations and things. So that's a whole nother episode upon itself. Anything more on this, or do you have music notes?
Well, I have some notes on Prince stuff in general. And then I got a couple other concerts. So switch over to the.
Let's take a look here.
What I got here. There we go. Let's go through some of these here. We'll start with Prince Rogers Nelson. Was born June 7th, 1958 in Minneapolis. Maddie Shaw and John Nelson were his folks. I don't have written here. I know a guy who went to high school with Prince. You see all those things in the stories? Yes, Prince was a very good basketball player.
Yes.
I've heard that. You hear the bits and the urban legends. Yes, he was a very good basketball player. Anyway, as a teenager, he played in bands with his friends. In 78, when he was 20, he signed his first record contract with Warner Brothers. Prince's sixth studio album, Purple Rain. A lot of people think that was one of his first ones. No, that was number 6 in 84. Was the high point. The album spent 24 consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200 charts. Spawned 2 hit singles. A lot more if you ask me, if you really listen to the album, but 2 that were released in the charts. 1 Doves Cry and Let's Go Crazy. 1 Grammys for Best Rock Performance and sold 13 million copies.
Wow.
They also did a film on it. Won lots of stuff there. Throughout his career, Prince defined and transcended genre. His music fused elements of funk, R&B, rock, and pop into what later became known as the Minneapolis Sound. That would be Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They were very big with Janet Jackson stuff at the time. She was popular, Sheila E., and some other artists down there too. Famously, he played a lot of instruments himself. He'd do all the stuff like he just did for that album. He had to cut back. He'd play everything. In the years before his death, Prince was taking prescription pain medication for hip pain. And you look at Prince, you dance in them little tiny boots, you're going to have leg and hip issues. So, so that's that on him. And there it is, Paisley Park out in Chanhassen, Minnesota. You can see the Target from there.
Now we're planning. It's in the works here, but we're planning to do a tour of the facility here for Sports and Songs upcoming.
They do have tours there, yeah. The studio was designed by architectural firm BOTO Design out of Santa Monica. Opened September 11th, 1987. He does have 2 videos in there and rehearsal spaces. He did have his record company there, Paisley Park. Music was there. The studios, he did have other artists recorded there. His intent when he opened it was to have it be like a Graceland, which unfortunately that's what's become since he passed. So kind of a dream come true for him, if you will. Paisley Park, I guess, does good work. They do good things there. Carver County, which is the county which Chanhasen's in, where Paisley Park is. Carver County officials confirmed the story that Prince's ashes are now, quote unquote, on show in the main entrance of Paisley Park, in an urn that is shaped of Paisley Park. In the basement of Paisley Park, there is a vault of unreleased material, hundreds of hours of live recordings, experiments, and top secret songs. The urn has since been removed from the atrium on which it was first displayed and placed in a vault. In the vault. The contents of the vaults have since been removed and relocated to a studio in LA to be stored, remastered, and stored in climate-controlled storage. Me personally, as a music fan and a Prince fan, from what you've heard, and I say what we know of Prince, like he's a friend of ours, but from what we know of Prince, I would never want to hear those. For the simple fact he was such a perfectionist, he would not be happy if they were released.
Fair enough.
Let's get this concert information here. Get back to our genre. Nothing against Prince. His royal badness, as they call them on MTV sometimes. For good concerts, go tell the movie Purple Rain. Henderson, Minnesota is an hour's drive southwest of First Avenue, the site where Prince and Apollonia filmed the iconic outdoor romp of Purple Rain. Prince was right. It ain't Lake Minnetonka. It's on the Minnesota River down in Henderson, Minnesota, right there at River Street and Henderson Station.
Oh, yes.
Might have to do a live remote there one day.
Yes, that's not a bad idea.
But here we are getting back to concerts. We're going to focus on Route 487 Pub and Grub in Fridley, Minnesota, off First Avenue, about an hour drive east from here in Carver County. Here's who they got coming up. Rough House, March 24th. That's tomorrow, for those of you watching this tonight. And Legacy of the Loud on Saturday. I have seen Legacy of the Loud before. I highly recommend you go see them. They do a lot of 80s covers. Like a couple different lead singers that switch in and out. Very, very good band. $10 cover. You're robbing them. They are worth well more than $10 to see them.
Play some Zeppelin, huh?
Yes. And the one time I saw them, they did when they do the songs, they do some of the deep tracks for Whitesnake too, not just the popular "Here I Go Again." No, they do some deep stuff, so that's pretty cool. 31st, Rockstar Bob's Rock Show. Again, highly recommended. Never seen Bobby Jensen. Former lead singer from Hairball, so he's that same type of show, if you will, for Rockstar Bob's. And the Pandemic on the 1st, $5 cover there. Getting into April the 7th, Gen X Jukebox. Those of you just a touch younger than us in the 90s music, there you go. Couple new bands, Mad Company and Foreign Sake. Bad Company cover band and a Foreigner cover band. The people in the Foreigner cover band are some of those from Heartless. So that same type of music, same groupings. That looks like it could be a good show there.
Oh, yes.
But getting back to the Prince stuff a little bit. I grew up in the Minnetonka Excelsior area, as you know, and I worked at convenience stores out in that area and did have the pleasure of running into Mr. Prince Rogers Nelson one night there. He came in the store about 4:30 in the morning. I was getting there early to open up. He came in, and I remember it like yesterday because of what he bought. It was so odd. It was.
I've heard this story. I know.
Yeah.
I have.
It was a copy of the Newsweek magazine that had OJ's mugshot on it. That's how I remember it. It had OJ's mugshot on it. So you had a copy of a Newsweek magazine, Evian water, and a box of condoms.
Box of condoms.
Yes.
Evian water and the Newsweek issue.
And a box of condoms.
Those three things. And you were running the cash register?
I was on the cash register. I said, "You have a nice day." He leaves.
That's tremendous.
About 30 seconds later, this lady comes running and she goes, "Who was that just sped out here in that sports car? He almost hit me." I go, "That was Prince." She's like, "Oh, okay." It was okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Almost hit her.
If you want.
He peeled out of there in the sports car.
Yeah, but he'd hang out in Excelsior every now and then at night. He used to hang out down in the Commons, I guess. Just not really causing issues, just being a kid,
Just
But Purple
chilling.
Rain, some of the stuff down there from First Avenue, a lot of those scenes. Kind of, I was in junior high when that movie came out. So I saw it because we were living out of the metro area at the time. So I watched it to see some of the metro scenes again. It was pretty cool. Is it a real movie? No. No, his career was not that way, but it was a fun movie. It's
I've
a good
seen
movie.
it a couple times. It's got a lot of local flavor, a lot of local scenes.
Filmed at First Avenue.
Yes.
So his star out there in front, which is painted a different color because he is Prince and he made First Avenue what it is today. Not that First Avenue and 7th Street Entry weren't popular before, but they are from the movie. Kind of became a tourist spot. Level. Kind of became a tourist spot when it came to Minneapolis. And funny, it's right across the street from Target Center, so can't miss it when you're down there.
Yeah, in the music, people in the music, people who travel to see music. A lot of people come to Minneapolis on a vacation or a long weekend to say, "Where's First Avenue? I got to see it. I want to get my picture taken in front of it." That's what it's like here in the Twin Cities. That's a spot.
And I looked up before the show to see who's all playing there, and maybe it's because I'm years old now and I don't know that genre of music anymore. Didn't know a name on there. But you know what? 99% of the people that play at First Avenue, no one knows their name when they first play there. It's your first step up the ladder. So
yeah, and that's how they do it, and that's how it's set up that way to get you in.
They don't want you if you've had 2 gold albums and a number 1 song, they don't want you playing there.
Yep.
That's not what First Avenue is for. So
yeah, that 7th Street Entry as well. But it's a kind of your entry level crowd to get in, and good stuff. So, should I comment on the rock concert review?
Yes, last Saturday you were out and about. I went and saw Isaiah Mueller. Again, another great job by him and the trio down there out at Dodge House on Lester Prairie.
Nice.
I lost at the meat raffle. I lost at bingo, but I got to see a good band. So there.
And how much? Now, do they charge a cover or not?
Nope. But I dropped enough money on bingo and meat raffle. I could have bought a concert ticket cheaper than that.
And and that's all. That's how it goes. But I
that's kind of your cover. You show up for the fun stuff.
I went to the Shakopee Bowl. $10 ticket gets you in to see a Megadeth tribute band called Darkest Hour. And they played the Darkest Hour song, of course. They had to do that, which is phenomenal. They also played Anarchy in the UK. The cover song, and they played a bunch from that first. So far, Peace sells, but who's
buying?
Who's buying? And so they played a bunch from that. I own of Megadeth, maybe 2 or 3 of their albums, or maybe even 4. Not a lot. They've got a bunch out there, but for a $10 ticket. They're up there playing. Sounds phenomenal. You can sit at your seat. They've got high top tables and chairs. There's like a dance floor. People can stand out in front as well. Maybe it only holds maybe 30 people or something. It's a small, intimate venue. After they got playing and whatnot, and I knew more of the songs, I went up. You're able to get real close to the band, and you're right there in front of them. They played about an hour set. I thought it was very good. And I thought that Megadeth is a hard band to cover, number one, as far as a thrash metal sound like that. The vocals were good. Bass is really good. 2 lead guitars, very good. So then they take off. They have a break.
No love for the drummer?
The drummer was very good. Yes, thanks for reminding me.
Don't leave out the drummer.
Was awesome as well.
Wow.
I spaced out. He's sitting there back, but the drummer, I liked his work as well. Very good. Very good. Now, they take a break. Everyone goes, gets a beer, whatever, and you come back, and now it comes off, and it's Iron Maiden cover band. It's a tribute band for Iron Maiden. It's called Maiden Minneapolis. It's a Minneapolis group of guys. 3 of the guys are overlapping from the previous Megadeth show. Change a T-shirt, put on a different outfit. Lead singer comes off, different outfit, same guy. Lead guitarist, same guy. And so the bassist, same guy. The others, in and out, done deal, and they start playing some Iron Maiden. Good stuff. I mean, it's so phenomenal. Now they have Eddie makes an appearance
Nice.
on the show, on the stage.
Yeah.
And so they play another hour, hour and a half. And, for $10, you're sitting there just thinking, how can this even be real? Because it's so perfect. It's so perfect. And mind you, I'm not a big Iron Maiden fan. I'm a bigger Megadeth fan. But if you like these bands, I would see these two. They always play together because most of the guys are the same group. But for playing the notes and the band and the bass, the vocals on these things, phenomenal. Same guy does the vocals for both. Drumming was incredible. So for $10, you can't beat it. I took a bunch of photos. We put them out there on our our Facebook and Twitter. And we're connected with these guys, and they said thanks for everything. We push their stuff. They're playing again, up in St. Michael coming up, but they always play together. Those two bands are really one unit, probably owned by the same company, the same partners involved on the business side of things. But
Yep.
A phenomenal show, and of course you get this. I don't want to say strange, but the people watching is always good because you see people from all walks of life come out to shows like this. I ran into a guy that I saw at the Def Legend show at Medina that was there. I think a guy that was like one or two rows ahead of me at the Def Legend show, I recognized at the Megadeth show. So they start getting some of the same followers coming through there but the tribute bands are really where it's at. It's.
Yep. I could vouch for. I know Dan had a good time. I got a text from him that night. His first word was, "Dude."
Dude is what I said.
Yes. I knew he's having a good time. We all go back to being in our 20s again when we're at those concerts. Some take it a little too far.
It takes you back, yes.
Yeah.
You're basically out there checking these guys out, and you're looking around, and everyone's got a giant smile on their face, just thinking, "What the heck is happening here?"
Yep.
And then Eddie comes out in a costume. It's just, it's just.
And everybody was like a kid seeing Santa Claus. It was like a kid watching Santa Claus when Eddie comes out. Oh, it's Eddie! Yay!
It's just a fun thing. So Shakopee Bowl, good venue. They got really good food there. A lot of people. There's 24 lanes of bowling if you want to do that. That's on the.
Now, would you say it's the same size as like when we were at the Minnesota Music Cafe in St. Paul? About that same size venue?
Minnesota Music Cafe is a music venue meant for large crowds. 300 or 400 people with an actual stage.
Yeah.
This is like, I would say, it's bigger than Floyd's, but it's really just a bar with the stage. Everyone's right there in front of you. It's a sports bar. Shakopee Bowl is a sports bar. So all the sports
150 people.
The flags are hanging of the Wild, the Timberwolves, the Twins, the Vikings, and it's rock and roll right in front of you. But there's a wraparound bar there. There's a whole section of kind of like Dave and Buster games that you can play there too, with skee ball and video games. It's a big venue. New owners. It's all cleaned up. It's really clean.
About 150 people for the concert?
I would say that would be high. I would say maybe 100.
Okay, so if crowds aren't your thing, that's a place to go.
If you're not, it's not a elbow to elbow thing. You've got room to just sit and watch at the bar, sit and watch at the table, go up and watch, dance if you want. There wasn't, people weren't dancing or anything, but
not a lot of dance music.
It's just to sit back and just to take it all in. I got some good photos up close of these guys, but very talented. These are guys that I think could be, pro or playing in a live real band for their job. Is how talented these guys, and they're playing tribute bands, but they're in multiple bands, probably doing it for a living, so to say. But they're certainly not getting wealthy off of it. But from a perspective of a fan or a spectator to see it, you're not paying, $150 to see a ticket for a live, real, authentic band. And then you're sitting in the third deck at the Target.
Right.
I mean, this is you're up front seeing professional musicians, talented guys.
Yeah, because these guys, they are professional musicians. They're getting paid for this, so they are very good at their talent. They're very good,
It is,
skilled
yeah, it's
musicians.
phenomenal. It's, it's not like the old, you see the old original beginning of, Motley Crue, and they're playing clubs and stuff, and they're hammered on
Yeah.
stage. They were falling over. Some of these old, when they're playing this, the clubs on the Hollywood Strip. This is the tribute shows that I've seen, whether it's Heartless or the Maiden, Motley Crue, very tight performances musically, very tight. That Def Legend was unreal. Hairball, once again. These guys aren't missing notes hardly, so it's a. They're not up there wasted. They're clean cut guys playing sober. Very, very good.
They're not a bunch of hacks that they're slapping a guitar and thinking they can do it.
No, it's good stuff. But that's all I've got on that. When wanting to see those guys for a while, been wanting to go to Shakopee Bowl for a while. So check both things off that list. Good venue. It's right in between Chaska, Jordan, Shakopee. It's out kind of in the middle of nowhere, but big venue. Music side is very small, but the business itself is very large.
Very good. Very good.
Anything
That's
else?
what I got. Those were our 4 albums for February.
All
Black and Blue album. Yep. Black Till It Turns Blue by Alice in Chains, Black and Blue by the Stones, and Black by Prince. You haven't figured out the pattern here.
There was a concept. There was a pattern. All 4 weeks in the month of February.
The answer next week.
The answer will be next week. We'll go back to our regular schedule of doing some hardcore, some heavy metal stuff going forward. But as we enter March Madness.
Any suggestions? Let us know what you want to hear us review. We've gone into the late 70s a couple times, early 90s sometimes, but mostly 80s rock and roll. So we are not afraid to venture out. Let us know.
We like it. It's fun stuff. We enjoy doing it. So have a good week, everyone.
See ya.